I've never thought that post Merriweather Animal Collective has got enough credit, either the band's albums or solo albums. I don't love everything, but Centipede Hurts, Panda Bear Meets a Grim Reaper, Sleep Cycle from Deacon, Cows on Hourglass Pond from A.V. Tear, all really strong albums. So I have to talk about this album from an artist who's always fascinated and intrigued me. He blends psychedelic pop with experimental electronic music. The album's called Sinister Grift by Noah Lennox, aka Panda Bear. The first Panda Bear solo album I'm aware of is Young Prayer, and that's a favorite of mine in the catalog. It's very sparse, very pretty, just acoustic guitar and voice based, and really has the same kind of formless vibe as the song The Softest Voice on Sung Tongs. After that was Person Pitch in 2007, and really since then, his whole solo run has lived in the shadow of Person Pitch for its critical success, but mostly for its influence on sampler-based indie music, which is a big reason for its critical success, along with Panda Bear's undeniable sense of melody and unmistakable pure tenor voice. And while I kind of missed the boat on 2011's Tomboy, Panda Bear Meets the Grim Reaper is a perennial favorite of mine. It just comes up every so often in my life and really is unlike a lot of the stuff I listen to. Filled to the brim with inventive melodies and irresistible electronic textures. I distinctly remember Fantano giving this a 4. But I don't buy it. This album to me is intoxicating. It's repetitive, totally, but that's all part of its just enveloping psychedelic charm. Unfortunately, the last truly solo album was Buoys, which I kind of forgot about. I haven't listened to much at all since it came out, to not much fanfare in 2019. But on returning to it for this review, I got a lot more out of it. I feel like it's got a kind of minimalist, more live sound. It cuts back the density in a way that I feel like makes Noah's raw voice clearer than ever before. It's still lathered in effects, but they cut back on that double, triple, quadruple, quintuple tracking. And you can hear the human character. It's not so swallowed up in synth. It wasn't his best songwriting, but the vulnerability of his voice really made songs like Dolphin or Master or I Know I Don't Know just really work for me. Ultimately though, a little bit lightweight, along with his collaboration album from 2022 with Sonic Boom, Reset, which I've always found just bland. It's an homage, it's a throwback kind of album, and not a particularly interesting one. And that brings us here to 2025 with Sinister Grift. No, nothing's gonna match that run that Animal Collective had in the aughts with albums like Feels and Strawberry Jam and Sung Tongs and Merriweather Post Pavilion. But I'm still optimistic about anything from this collective and really went into this one just ready for anything. And right from the get-go with the song Praise, Panda Bear gives us a distinctly sweet and carefree sound. I'm getting like the Ronettes, that kind of early 60s, early rock and roll type of sound. There's really everything from that era to like 70s dad rock. Like the very Jimmy Buffett-esque Ends Meet, which immediately hit for me with its jangly woodblock beat and bubbly bass line. I love this song so much. It kind of felt like a guilty pleasure. I'm not sure why, but maybe it's just so goofy. But the melodies and just vocal harmonies have been just crashing around, boinging around in my head like a monkey with the cymbals. I love that he brought in A.V. Tear to do this noise solo on the piece too. It's like you don't even notice that it's happening. Something so kind of strange and experimental in the midst of this perfect pop. Anywhere But Here is another beachy, Brian Wilson inspired gem. It's got this slow, groovy 6/8 thing going on, and the vocals again just steal the show. Then there's a spoken word part interspersed throughout the song in Portuguese from his daughter. I'm not usually a fan of spoken word in music. Like rarely do I feel like it really adds a lot to the song. Maybe because I'm so cued in on melody, but it complements the sugary vocal lines so well with this moodier, darker, more serious tone. And looking up the translation, it seems like Noah's vocal parts are him really struggling with something serious. It's a lot of pain. Maybe he's struggling to forgive someone, while the responses in Portuguese are kind of this therapeutic voice talking about the power of love. It's a cool idea to have you're like better angels responding to you in a track. And I'm not sure if I have that right, but that's how it reads to me. Venom's In is another one that caught my ear lyrically. Not so much for the themes and actually what he's saying, but just the way he's saying it and the way he emphasizes certain syllables, which has always been a big strength of his. Into the unknown, out of the optical. It's such a simple arrangement and instrumental palette. You've got these very subtle keyboard textures and a droney guitar and bass and a bass drum and then some little splashy hi-hat sound, and that's it. Producer Josh Deacon of Animal Collective just does a great job to just get out of the way of Panda Bear's chord progressions, his melodies. Time and time again on this album, Panda Bear really proves his songwriting chops. The song Fairy Lady is another highlight, and I mentioned the Ronettes. It's kind of got that early rock and roll, but with a digital twist. Think like the Everly Brothers if they made a bedroom pop record. The album emotionally has this very sudden drop off. You get these little hopeful lyrics nestled into the first half. It's very carefree. There's some upbeat moments, just laid back. And then you get this sudden descent into two very low-key cuts right in a row with Left in the Cold and Elegy for Noah Lou. You're swallowed in the typical sea of reverb and delay. Both these songs are just very slow growers, but wow, does Noah just use his voice to its utmost, especially on Song or Elegy for Noah Lou. The unconventional structure of the song goes back and forth from this jaw-dropping vocal melody to these ambient sound play sections. It's very cool. I love the change of pace with these two slow cuts right in a row. Then he ends on a very optimistic note, like he usually does on Defense featuring Cindy Lee, which is maybe the most straightforward rock song on the record, and that no frills, no nonsense approach really contrasts nicely with that ambient sound play on the previous track. Great guitar solo. There's the light of day at the end of this dark, complicated tunnel. The hero has learned something, and this is the end credits scene. It's a killer indie rock record. I'm really liking it. It's classic of Panda Bear and Animal Collective to have this very digital, processed kind of sound, but there's also something very natural to it. Maybe it's the more traditional rock instrumentation. Ultimately, I feel like songwriting leads the way. It really is song dependent. These songs are strong, and really Panda Bear's success overall in his career, I feel like, is directly related to his songwriting talent, which is good. And he's an artist who still appears to have some fresh ideas, some fresh energy left in the tank for some mid to late career gems. So yeah, really good 8 out of 10 record. I don't feel like it's gonna blow anyone away. Sound-wise, sound design-wise, it's nothing like crazy or out of the box. Genre-wise, it's nothing crazy or out of the box. But the songs are there, which is always what matters to me. So yeah, really enjoying it. It did not disappoint. But what do you think about this record? Let me know in the comments below. What's your favorite Panda Bear album? If you haven't yet, please do subscribe to the channel and like this video. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll wait until